Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar, FourJaw 2.0. This is all about our next generation of machine monitoring platform. So I'm Robin, I'm one of the founders here at FourJaw and I'm also the CTO. It's great to have you all here. I appreciate you taking the time to come and learn a bit more about what we're doing here at FourJaw. I've had a sneaky look at the guest list and I can see we've actually got quite a number of people who are either existing customers or already involved in the FourJaw journey. So I'd like to extend my appreciation for you, first of all, being part of our journey, but also coming along today. I know there's also quite a few people who are maybe a bit newer to FourJaw and here to find out what we do and why. And I hope that this will answer some of your questions in that regard. So in terms of the format, for a bit of housekeeping, you can see it on the screen here. So before we dive into the product demo, I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about why FourJaw 2.0. So what's led to us doing this big release? We'll then get to the point where I can share my screen and we'll do the full product demo. And after that, I'd like to talk to what's next? What's the roadmap? We very much see FourJaw 2.0 as the foundation for a wider roadmap. And so we can't really have a discussion of FourJaw 2.0 without a discussion of that roadmap. At the end, we'll then have a Q&A as well. So what you can do is if you look into Microsoft Teams at the top, there's a Q&A button. If you have any questions which occur throughout the webinar, you can pop them in there. We'll not answer them as we go along, just so we can keep the fluidity up. But when it comes to the end, we'll have a specific time for that Q&A. What we'll make sure we also do is share the slide deck as well. So if there's anything where you feel like you need to write it down, don't worry about that. We'll make sure you've got a full copy of this slide deck afterwards. So to begin with, before we can talk about why FourJaw 2.0, we sort of need to talk about why FourJaw. And so I'd like to actually go back to our fundamental belief of why we started the business. So we believe that productive manufacturing elevates lives, communities, and is the foundation for our society. Now, I don't think that's a controversial thing to say, but I also think it's something that's not celebrated enough and maybe not shouted loudly enough, but that's a really core belief, which I'm sure many people on the call today share. Because of that, we've made it our mission to deliver accessible technology that empowers all manufacturers to achieve their productivity potential. Now, I guess why the need for this? Well, when we speak to manufacturers, a lot of them say that they think their machine utilization might be between sort of 50 and 60%. And it varies very much by industry, of course it does. But actually, when we start tracking machine utilization, we see that sometimes the averages are, between 20 and 30%. Now, that can be viewed as a bad thing, but we see that as a massive positive because these are businesses already being profitable, already, with strong customer bases, but it means there's a massive productivity potential still there to be got. And we're very much here to help get that out. And I think it just underlines that actually the way to production capacity doesn't necessarily have to be investing in new machinery. It can be about working smarter with the equipment you've already got. So I'm going to roll you back to the start of FourJaw, which is May 2021, where we launched our Machine Link, which is the equipment you see on screen here. Now, many of you may be familiar with this, but for those who aren't, it's a plug and play piece of equipment. And the key thing here is it doesn't integrate into the control systems of your machinery because that can be difficult, time consuming and expensive. It uses clip-on sensors, which are really quick to install to monitor the power draw of your equipment. And the nice thing is pretty much any machinery which draws power, we're compatible with, regardless of the age, the size, the brand, we can do it. Now, it's a small upfront cost as well, so it's really cheap to get going. And it's also done in a low-risk commercial model. So we chose to go for a subscription model to put the control in customers' hands. So when they bought a Machine Link, if after a month it wasn't doing what they were promised, then they simply cancel. So it keeps us honest, but we also hope that it makes it easy for people to get started. So May 2021, we launched this, and we feel that Machine Link really opened up the machine monitoring capabilities to a whole new group of manufacturing businesses who just couldn't access it before. So we might have those who have a very diverse range of equipment on their shop floor, and actually there was no system out there which could cope with that diversity and give them one sort of joined up view of what was happening. There's also, for example, SMEs where the large capital expenditure of what was on the market at the time was just too much and too risky, whereas something where you could dip your toe in and actually see if it worked for you before going further was much better. So we were really excited about that. But then I guess the main thing we need to cover actually is the taking a step back to how it works. So the machine link, which I just showed you, sends uptime and downtime data from the machinery. Is passive, is based on the power draw of that equipment, and sends it up into the FourJaw platform, where we do some clever stuff to then do a load of analytics and sort of business intelligence we display on your own dashboard. But there's also a tablet. Now the tablets are optional, and they can be used to put next to the machine so that your machine operators can label downtime as and when it comes up. So you can build up that understanding of what's going on. And also they can job on and job off work orders so that your uptime, your cycle time, your capacity data, your downtime is all grouped, not only by the machine, but also by the work order. So May 2021, this was, I guess, the FourJaw hardware, FourJaw platform 1.0, and we put it out into the world. And the big question really was, how would manufacturing business use this new capability to increase their productivity and drive efficiency? Now, this was something which was quite new, and so I'm going to be very honest, is that we had our theories, but the exact answer to this, we didn't really know exactly how people would use this and where the value would be. So what's changed? I want to actually fast forward to now. Between when we launched FourJaw 1.0, which was May 2021, and now, we've had 14 months of working with our customers, manufacturers of all types in the UK, listening, learning from going into and working in the shop floor with cell leads and machine operators, right up to sort of strategic decision making at the top of the business, and understanding how different stakeholders can get value out of this information. And you can see some of the visits we've got here with the smiley faces. We've also had a load of reviews, which you can see sort of placed around the screen, where there's been pros and people have really found a piece of the software useful. We've doubled down on that and tried to make it faster, more intuitive and more accessible. If there have been cons where people have not been particularly pleased with one part, that's where we've gone and really thought about, well, how can we make this something which is useful for them? So imagine this months and months and months of learning. We've taken all of that and we've packaged it and we've released that in FourJaw 2.0. So FourJaw 2.0 has the same fundamental hardware with the tablet and the machine link, but we've really taken what do people want to do with that information and how can it generate value, and built that into a completely new generation of the cloud platform. So to give you some specifics of what we learned and what we've done about it, the first one is we were just overwhelmed with how busy manufacturers are. It's a job where you're constantly pulled from pillar to post with lots of different things to do. Because of this, we realized that manufacturers do not want to be analyzing data. It's not something where you can spend 3 hours, plowing through, big data and, all that kind of stuff. What you want is really quick, accessible reports and insights at your fingertips. So you can get in, get the information, and then crack on with your day-to-day job. So because of that, what have we done in the FourJaw platform? Well, the first thing is we've redesigned it from the ground up to be quick and intuitive to navigate. So trying to make it really, really easy for you to get the information you want. And you'll see that when I share my screen later and actually take you through it. We've got an entirely new reporting section. So you can now build, save and run reports specific to exactly what you want to see so that you can, configure them once and have them available whenever you need to. And we've also looked at contextualizing our data. So that means not leaving all the interpretation to you. It means that we're going to add trend lines and red, amber, green coloring so that you can really quickly understand what does that mean for you. So that's all exciting, and you'll see a little bit of that later on. Another thing that we learn in this learning phase since we released FourJaw 1 is that it needs to fit into your workflow. So machine monitoring data has to marry up and play nice with the other sources of data you've got in your factory or your production. So your ERP, your MRP, maybe your shop floor data capture. Now, to do that, there's a couple of things we've done. The first is that the reports I just spoke about, you can export them as a PDF. So even if someone's not using FourJaw, then let's say if you're about to have a board meeting, you can export your PDF, send that report to them by email, and everyone's got access to that information. You could also, for example, print it out and walk out onto the shop floor with today's report to have us huddle with your team in your cell, or maybe to pin up on a notice board. In terms of our sort of work booking and work tracking side of things, we've got a brand new CSV import, which allows you to really quickly and simply upload all of your work list, your planned work, into FourJaw using a CSV. And the key thing about that, which you'll see a little bit later on, is that you can do that without modifying it from as you export it from your ERP or MRP. In terms of interoperability, all the data in FourJaw can be exported as an Excel spreadsheet. So if you did find that you wanted to go and do something further, it's going to be really easy for you to do that. And the final thing, which is actually a really big piece of work at the minute, is ERP integrations. We've launched a beta program with some of our key customers to do exploratory and trying to get those ERP integrations working for them, so that we can then make that a key part of our product. Now, this is a very technically challenging thing to do, but we realise that giving people one joined up view of their shop floor is really powerful, and we're working very, very hard to do that. So we sort of got what FourJaw 1.0, and we're going to sort of peel off and reveal FourJaw 2.0, which is our I guess new generation of platform, which we're really excited to put in the hands of our customers. So without further ado, I think it's time for me to share my screen and to crack on with a demo. So let me welcome you here, as you can see it, into FourJaw 2.0. So this is a demo site we've got for you today. Now, this is obviously quite different for those of you who maybe used the FourJaw platform before. This is quite a different look and feel. And the first thing I'd like to draw your attention to is actually these different workspaces we've got. So we've got monitor, manage, report, and operate. Now, those of you who've done sort of CAD/CAM work before will be familiar with this in your CAD/CAM software, where you might have a CAD workspace for designing the 3D component that you want to make, and then a CAM workspace for the tool path and the programming to make that on some machinery. You might also have, say, a drawings workspace for making 2D drawings. Now, this is a common pattern because different types of work live in different places, and we've extended that to FourJaw. So our monitor workspace is all about really quick, easily interpretable, at your fingertips views of production, both in real time and sort of historic as well. We've then got manage, which is all about giving you interactive tools to administer and manage your shop floor. So that's where things like your work lists live, but it's also where, going into the future, as we'll cover a little bit later on, things like the FourJaw scheduling will live as well. We've got our brand new reporting section, which is all about running those reports and giving you the power to create whatever you want, but also making them really simple to access. And we've got operate, which is the new home of our tablet interface. So if you're a machine operator on your tablet, you're going to be looking at what's in operate. We've also, I guess, got our machine links, which is just so you can really quickly see the health of your machine links, and also some settings which are nice and quick to access. So the first thing I want to draw your attention to is actually we can really, really quickly navigate between different levels of our factory now. So let's say here I've got my factory level view, but I want to drill down into, say, my milling cell. Well, quick as that, we can change that and drop into the milling view of production. I can see that my utilization trends through time have updated here. If I wanted to see the turning cell, that's at your fingertips as well. And you could even drill down to, say, an individual machine. Let's say I've got a Kia lathe, which I'm interested in. So you can really, really quickly go from a top level view down to whatever you want to see. Now, I actually want to draw your attention to what I guess FourJaw 1.0 was like. So this is what you would have seen in, I guess, FourJaw 1. The raw data would have been there. We've got the utilization of our whole factory across last week from Monday through to Sunday with 1 bar per week, 1 bar per day. But the challenge here is what's good, what's bad? Well, actually, this is where we've added that context in. We've given you a trend line, so you can see, are you trending up, are you trending down? And we've given you a zone, which is what is normal, what's continuing in the trend. And you can see things which are blue are sort of in zone, they're continuing the trend. If you've got something red, that's sort of, I guess, lowering the trend and maybe a unusually poor day, may I say, whereas something which is green would be, actually, we've done really well today, and this is a very productive day. So you can come in and see that really easily. So coming down, I guess the next thing I want to draw your attention to is the status. So we've always had the ability to see when your machines are in uptime and downtime. But one thing we had a lot of feedback about is that not all downtimes are created equal. So there's setup, for example. Now, setup is part of the value add pathway to making a part. Some manufacturers charge for it, and so that is considered as productive downtime. But something like, actually, my machine broke down, or I had to leave my machinery, stop it to go and find someone or a piece of equipment, that's a piece of unproductive downtime. So we've split them out. You can see your uptime, you can see your productive downtime, and you can see your unproductive downtime too. We've also got the time where the machine links are just offline, so they're powered off to give you that information. Now, going further into that, we've actually brought a Pareto plot, which is what you see here, into the dashboard. Now, a Pareto chart is something which is a really powerful tool from lean manufacturing. It was quite heavily requested. And what this does is it takes your largest downtimes and it puts them on the left, and then they get smaller towards the right. And it also gives you a running total of how much they will add up to. So what this allows me to do is I can see here, for example, for my factory over last week, the 7 days, I can see here, 50% of my downtime came from just 4 reasons: from inspections, from machines not running when operators off on breaks and rests, from setups, and from unplanned maintenance. So actually, if I just took a project to focus on those 4, I'd get rid of half the downtime in my factory, which is quite powerful. You can also then extend it out to see, well, let's say if I wanted to see the whole load of downtime, you can see they sort of get marginally smaller, but you can see the contribution of each. Now, let's say actually we want to only worry about the unproductive downtimes. We've got you covered as well. You can see those ones there. So you're also able to configure which ones you consider productive and unproductive, so you can really tune it in for yourselves. Good. Okay, so moving down, we've got our utilization by shift. This is so you can see, the productivity of your night shifts, the after shift, which seems to be doing pretty well in this case, your day shift, and also your out of shift machining. Like all the plots, you can export it, as a CSV, get it into Excel, click the button, and that raw data is in your downloads folder. We've also got this brand new plot here, which is something entirely new to FourJaw 2.0, and it's going to tell you the 100 longest downtime instances. And you can filter it, say if you wanted the, only the top 10 or whatever, but it tells you when they happened, how long they lasted, and exactly on which machine it was. So I can see here 1.12% of my total downtime for last week was from a single instance of unplanned maintenance on my Akuma mill. Now, what we can actually do is go into our dashboard controls, and if I wanted to, I could say change this to time. We can really quickly reconfigure the time range, how we're displaying the data using these pop-out controls here. So if I do that, what this now allows me to do is see that I've got my number of minutes in the on the y-axis, and I can see actually that single downtime, that unplanned maintenance, was 302 minutes in total of downtime. And I can go and explore some other ones as well. You see another unplanned maintenance there, an inspection, some tool breakage. So you can really quickly identify, not only broadly speaking, where are your downtimes over here, but actually the individual instances that you might want to go and look at further. So that's sort of our dashboard for now. Next up, I'd like to take you to our timeline, which we spent a lot of work into putting in. So this is giving you a really, really quick view of minute by minute what's happening on your machines. And this respects, again, the selection in the top. So you can see your top level factory. You can drill down, say, into just the milling cell, and you can zoom in to see, minute by minute exactly what's happening with your uptime and your downtime. And if you did, say, want to sit with, say, a machine operator and look at just their performance of one of their machines, you've got that there. Now, what we can also do is start bringing extra information into this. So I can pop open my timeline controls, and I can say, actually, I want to see my shift information on here. You could also see your active work orders and where they are. And I might want to color some key downtimes. So let's say actually inspection, I'm really interested in, setups and maintenance. I've clicked them, they've popped up. I can scroll down to the bottom, apply that, and then that extra context is now added to the timeline. So I can see in this sort of lovely appealing brown color here, I've got my inspection. I've got a really large unplanned maintenance on the Akuma here, which I might want to look at, and other downtimes will occur throughout as well. So you can go and inspect them. I can also see, if I scroll back in time, I can see where my day shift started. So like at 9 o'clock this morning, we can see that there. We can see where there was some unplanned maintenance before, some setups, and you can actually really understand the different operating profiles of different machines here. My Mazak lathe down the bottom, I can see we've got these really short cycles with the changeover in the middle, whereas something like my Kia lathe is doing much more sort of blocks of productive machining. You can get that full information here. You could also sort of, if you wanted to hop back to say last month, it's all there. We've got full visibility of everything that happens 24 hours a day, and you can go back as far as you want. So that's the timeline. Hopping into our live stream, this is where you can get a real-time view of the last 60 minutes across your machines. Again, we can filter this if we want to, so we can look at a milling cell or a turning cell. Let's say if I'm interested in the whole factory, we can see on the right hand side, I guess, is now going back to the left hand side is 60 minutes ago. And where there's purple blocks, those are effectively cycles or periods of uptime, and where there are gaps, that's where there's downtime. We can see the aggregate utilization across that 60 minutes. So for the Haas mill, I can see is at 88.1% in the top corner there, whereas something like my Doosan mill, the one below it, is actually only at 11%. When there's a work order, which has been activated for this machine, as we can see in the Haas mill, you can see exactly what it's on. So it's on a work order, and it's actually on op 20, we can see here. Now that's been labeled by the tablets. So on this particular machine, there's a machine operator who's used their tablet to job onto that work order. We can actually see on the Doosan mill below it, there's been a machine operator who's used their tablet to label that their machine is stopped because they're awaiting a job pack. So actually this would be one of those unproductive downtimes that we might want to dig into. So yeah, just really nice way of getting a view of production here. So that is our monitor workspace. It'll continue to grow, but it's really about giving you that really quick view of production. So the next thing I'd like to take you into is manage. So this is, if we go back to the sort of the workspace idea, all about interactive tools for administering production. So here I've got my work list. This is everything that is going to happen, sort of scheduled work in my factory. I could also break it down to see the work that's in progress or the jobs which have been completed as well. And I can filter them by, you know, if I want to see everything across the factory, just a particular cell or a single machine. You can see, for example, that we've got, you know, which work order you're on, the op number, how many parts you're making, which machine it's on, the scheduled start date, and the estimated time. Now, let's say if I wanted to go and look at my completed jobs, I can come in and I can have a look at that here. Now, what we can see is the total amount of time it's taken, so like 0.63 hours elapsed in this job out of an estimated 12.5 hours. So this is just demo data. It's probably a bit far-fetched, that one, but what we might think about is actually we're making that loads faster than we expected. Maybe we can change the schedule, change the estimates as we plan them, and maybe there's some strategic stuff around actually that's a really profitable part to make, so we might dig into that. Now, I can see that at the top there's a part which is overrun on the Mazak lathe, 8.8 hours out of an estimated 6.3. So what I'm actually going to do is, let's say I want to drill down and see, is this a systemic problem on the Mazak lathe? Okay, wow, there's quite a bit of red going on here on the Mazak lathe. These are all just for this machine now. And what I can see is all the red seems to be on the little widget, which is one of the parts which has been made. We could dive into the work order. What I'm actually going to do is click this part name, and it's going to take us into our reporting workspace. So you can see at the top, we've actually changed over to the reporting workspace. And this is a report for every time we've made this part, on average, what does it look like? Now, the first thing which strikes me here is 43% of the time, on average, when we're making this part is unproductive downtime. There's a bit of uptime and there's a bit of productive downtime as well, but I'm really interested in this. So let's go over to our downtime breakdown, and I can see there's a large orange patch here actually, so that's going to be inspection. So 40% of the time when we're making this particular part, we're sat there waiting for an inspection. Now that's probably unproductive downtime, and it's probably where the machine's not going to be running, it's not making us money. So that's a really simple way of going, well, we know what we need to do here. There's lots of other downtimes we might want to tackle, some unplanned maintenance, there's some rests. There's a bit of time where the reason's not provided, so we might want to speak to our operators to see if they are able to label that, change over the things. But really, the main thing for me is, okay, we can now know where to spend our effort to make an improvement in our factory. So what I'll do is hop back into the Manage workspace. Now, what you might be thinking is, okay, that's great, but how do I get my work list into FourJaw? It's a good question, and we have you covered. That's where you go up to Import New Jobs. So here, this is where that CSV import I was speaking about before comes in. So basically, you can get your work list, prepare it as a CSV in Excel, and when you're ready, upload that work list to FourJaw. And what it's going to do is it's going to override all of the not started jobs. Your in progress jobs, your complete jobs will stay completely untouched, but it's going to just override your not started jobs. So that is a complete work list. Now, what we have is actually some different settings. So let's say you've never used it before and you come to FourJaw, you've got the default settings, and we can pop them open and we can see what they are. it's telling you in your CSV, it must contain some different columns. So we need to know the work order number, the operation number, the part number. And actually what you can do is you can download a template, which is an Excel template, which already fits all of these sort of column requirements and things like that. And what I'll do is I'll just really quickly show you what that looks like by changing my screen to Blue Peter style one I prepared earlier. So this is what you might upload. So you can see here the columns. We've got a work order number, our operation, part number, part description, our quantity, which machine it's going to go on, when we plan to start it, and the estimated number of hours. In this case, it's like a fractional number of hours, so like 3.5. And we can put in here, well, we've got work order on, so work order 1 up 10, work order 1 up 20. They're both the same part. They're both a 10 off. The first op is going on machine 3, the second op is going on machine 2, and they've got different scheduled start dates and different estimates. Whereas we've actually got a second work order here. The first op, it's a different part with a different description, completely different quantity, which is going on a different machine. So this could be, obviously going to be much longer than 3 jobs, but it can be quite long. You can take this, upload it to FourJaw, and it will then appear in your work list. You can track in real time your work in progress. It'll automatically pop up on your operators' tablets if you've got those, so they can job onto the work list. They literally just need to click one button, and they and you can both see in real time how that job's going, which is really powerful. Now, some of you might be thinking, Robin, that's great, but my work list does not look like this when I say export it from my ERP. And that was actually some of the early feedback we got when beta testing this. Now, because of that, what we've done is, if I head back to the FourJaw platform, where we are, there we go. We've got a second way of doing imports. So we can configure this for you. And this allows you to have your own custom settings for importing your CSV. So you can see up here, like your work order, op, part number, the column names are different now. So let's say if, when you export out your ERP, it comes out as WO, it's the column name instead of work order number, that's okay. Similarly, there can be other stuff like the date formats. It might be instead of a fractional number of hours, it might be hours, hours, minutes, minutes, and the same with the date formats. A final thing is that also sometimes your ERP or your MRP might have a different name for your machine as a resource than what you have in FourJaw, and we can cover that off as well. So for example, in your ERP, if it's called M1, we know when we import that, we're going to put that job on the Kia lathe. And this would allow you, once you've got that, to then, if I hop over to my other prepared template, is to upload something like we see here, where actually we've got non-standard column names, but that's okay, we can handle it. We've got machine names, which are just exported straight from ERP, which is absolutely fine, and different formats for, say, the estimated amount of time. So that's already powerful. You can take that, you can upload that into FourJaw just by clicking your your browse button. You choose your file, upload it, and those jobs are in. So broadly speaking, that's our managed workspace. Next, I'm going to hop on to the reports. This is a brand new part of FourJaw, which we've worked really hard on, and we're really excited to share with you. So you've got utilization reports, status reports, downtime reports, and your sort of work order and part reports in your work booking. We saw actually a sneak peek of that earlier. This, of course, will expand throughout time, but this is a really, really solid foundation. So what you'll see is there's a list of pre-configured reports you can come in and run, but I'm actually going to create a new one. So start off, create new report. And what it gives me is a utilization report. I seem to have, it's the last 7 days. It's selected for my factory. And I can see actually it's showing me this week. It's only Tuesday, so we've only got Monday and Tuesday. But let's say actually this is not showing me what I want. I can come in and I can click edit. And let's say what I want is I want to see my cells. So I want information at the cell level. I want to understand how they performed, let's say, last month. And I don't want to know about percentages. I just want to know how much machining time did I get. I can toggle that onto time. Let's say actually I only want data which has happened during a shift. So Sunday mornings and things like that when we're out of shifts, don't tell me about that. Let's filter them out. And even though we love the graphs, actually sometimes it's just easy to have a table. I'm going to toggle that. I can apply all that. And that information now comes out exactly as you see. So I can see for each day of last month, I've got the number of hours for my milling cell and the number of hours for my turning cell of productive machining which happened in that cell. So that's basically the capacity that you delivered in that cell on that day. That's really, really powerful. Now, it doesn't stop there. What you could do is you could give this, this is my capacity report, for example, and I can save that and I can run it. Once I run it, that'll then just take me through, lock all the values in. Again, I could download it as a CSV, but I can also click the PDF button, and in my downloads folder is going to become a PDF of this report, which is really, really good. And if I go back a couple of times, go back to my utilization home screen, I can now actually see that that capacity report is there, and I could then, I've configured that once, anyone in my team can now run that whenever they want to get an understanding of what's happened. So really, really powerful. Now you can do the same thing with your the statuses of your machines, for example. So this is your asset status report. It's going to be that sort of pie chart of your productive downtime, your uptime, your unproductive downtime. There we go. Your productive downtime, and if your machines have been offline for time, that as well. You can come in, you can run that exactly the same, and you can then export it as a PDF. Now for our downtime reports, we've actually got 3 different types. So we've got our downtime instances. This is the one you actually saw on the dashboard, where you can identify those key instances of downtime. We've got our Pareto, which you also saw on the dashboard, so that's sort of cumulative and ordered downtime. And we can also report on downtime by individual assets. So tell me about machine 1 versus machine 2, for example. So as an example, if I just hopped in and I wanted to see top 10 downtime instances this week, I've got a pre-built report for that. I can run that report, and that's going to come through. It's showing me across the whole factory over 7 days. It's actually this week. Oh, it's from the 1st until the 8th. So this is a report for this week. And it's saying, OK, well, here's the main downtimes. It's saying which machine, when they were, what the reason code was, and exactly how long it lasted. So if you wanted to, say, print this out and take it out so that we could, on the shop floor, have a huddle and understand actually what can we do to maybe improve on some of these for the next week or the week after, this could be your go-to place to do it. And then finally, I guess we've got our work booking, which is where you can come in. We saw the parts before, but let's say I've got a specific work order number. I can come in, it'll help you find them. I can choose whichever one I want. And then once I search for that, I can run a report for that work order too. Turns out to be a bit of a boring one. We've got a bit of upside, so I guess, yeah, 2/5 uptime, 2/5 productive downtime, and I guess 1/5 unproductive downtime. And we can see that the split of downtime for this work order is a bit of programming and then no reason required, which is actually where there's a really, really small downtime in between cycles. And we don't actually ask operators to label that just because it's that small stuff. So that's indicative of probably quite productive machining, actually. So that is our report workspace, which is something which we're really proud of. We're obviously going to develop it as we do with the whole platform, but it's a great new home for getting the information you want, configured the way you want, but also really easily. And then coming into Operate, this is the home of our, I guess, tablet interface. So imagine you're now on the shop floor, you're looking at a tablet which is next to your machine. We're actually paired, as you can see in the top corner here, to the Mazak lathe. And we're getting a real-time feedback on the productivity over the last 60 minutes. We can see the same plot actually we saw on the live dashboard. There's some productive cycles of the 45 to 60 minutes ago, but since then we're clearly in this period of unplanned maintenance. We can see the work order we're on, and we can also see over the last 12 hours actually how we've performed on the right-hand side too. We can job on and job off. We can see the live status of the job we're on and how long ago we started it. If I want to come in and sort of flag particular downtime periods, retrospectively, I can look back into the past here. So, for example, let's say if this isn't unplanned maintenance, I can come in. I've got my pop-up here, and actually I can choose which of the correct downtime reasons I want to put on there. And the operators themselves, they get a breakdown as well, so they can see what's contributing to their downtime. And the final thing we've got here is our work list as well. So this is where we can come in and we can see all of the work which is scheduled for this machine. You can scope it to just your individual machine, your cell, or the whole factory. And if you do that CSV import, it'll automatically pop up here. So it's something where you can prepare your work list in an external scheduler or even in Excel. And when you upload it, it's going to appear in front of your machine operators, time ordered, is exactly as it should. Now, what I should say is actually the monitor, manage, and report workspace are really locked in, and they're a really key part of FourJaw 2.0. But we've actually got project to overhaul and improve the operator experience, because actually, even though we're proud of what we've got here, we think we can take it a whole step further. So I'll tell you a little bit about that next. So the operate workspace and the operator experience on the tablets will actually be changing in a little bit. I guess the final thing to say is just for configuring your dashboard, you've seen a few things here where it is quite configurable. You can hop into your settings workspace. This is just really easy to come in and, in this case, set up which cells you've got and which machines are in there. You can invite other users really quickly, so you can get other people on the platform and make sure that they're getting the most out of this. You can assign sort of your shifts, so I can come in and make sure that the right shift patterns are assigned to the right machines. That's nice and easy to do now. You can configure alerts based on the machines. So, for example, on these machines here, I've got my Haas mill, my Akuma mill. I want to send an email to FourJaw admin, which is actually me, after 10 minutes, when that machine is in a downtime due to, say, equipment missing because of a rest downtime, inspection, and some other stuff. So actually, you can get your machines automatically sending you notifications on particular conditions that you need to know about. You can also come in and you can tailor your downtime as well. So you can choose after how long is an operator prompted for a downtime. If it's a 12-second downtime, you probably don't want to be popping up something in front of them. If it's sort of 5-10 minutes, then actually you may want to be doing that. You can choose which colors you want for your downtime categories and also for your reasons as well. So broadly, categories are, let's say we've got the tooling category. What might fit into that is tool break and tool change. So we can group our downtime into broad tooling or split it out into those individual reasons. We can come down and we can also choose, for example, for each downtime reason, which category it's in, what the color, I guess, we want for that to be when it appears nice and visually, and also whether we consider this to be a productive or an unproductive downtime reason to feed into those statistics we've seen. So I think that's as a bit of a whistle-stop tour, a great place to finish for FourJaw 2.0. If you do have any questions that have popped up throughout that, get them in that Q&A chat. No need to be sort of shy about that. Two questions so far I've just heard from the team. So if you do want to put anything in there, you're very welcome to. So let us hop back into our presentation. So we've done the demo. I hope you are suitably excited about what we've got, and I hope you can see how that would maybe fit into your production operations and how it might be useful to you. I'd love to hear about it. If you do have any thoughts on that, I'd be really keen to get your feedback on that. So the big question, what's next? So I mentioned earlier that, FourJaw 2.0, it's the end of a lot of work for the FourJaw team. It's actually the start of a new roadmap for the FourJaw team. Now, I want to ground this back into, again, what we're trying to achieve. The technology is really exciting, but again, we come back to that core belief that productive manufacturing elevates lives, communities, and it's the foundation for our society. And everything we're doing in our roadmap is driven by that belief. Now, because of that, what we need to do to drive that productive manufacturing, we believe we need to empower manufacturers to understand what's happened in the past. So what's historic production? How's it gone? What does that mean? We want to give them the tools to manage the present. So actually, as productivity is happening in real time, make sure that we can support them and also optimize for the future. So making sure that next week or next month, we're in a position where we're improving. I'm going to be really honest here. I think as a team, we've done really, really well at letting our customers know what happens in the past. The historic reporting, we've seen it with the dashboard in the reporting section. But actually, I think where we see the future of FourJaw is in helping people in the moment, in real time, manage productivity as it's happening, and also scheduling, forecasting and planning into the future so that you can get certainty about your production and almost bake in productivity before you get there. So that's really what this roadmap's about. Now, let's talk about FourJaw 2.1. So that's going to be the next big release. And as I mentioned, this is a release which focuses on real-time communication and a big upgrade to the tablet experience. So the Operate workspace you've just seen is actually going to have a bit of an overhaul, which is quite exciting. So the first thing with that real-time communication is we're going to give machine operators the ability to send messages from their tablet. And those messages can appear in the inbox, for example, of email inbox of someone in the office, or an SMS text or a WhatsApp of someone who's walking around the shop floor. And the reason for this is we see that a massive cause of productivity loss is people not being able to communicate, and a machine operator maybe having to leave their machine, stopping it running, to go and walk to try and find someone, and that's not adding value, and it's time which can be saved and can be used productively if we have those communication tools. So that's going to be a really powerful thing. And actually, I should thank some of the customers on the call who are here today, because they've really steered that use case and our understanding of that. So I hope we do you proud. The next thing is a completely re-engineered tablet experience. So I won't get into the tech, but we're rebuilding the tablet with a brand new technology, which is going to be way better for responsiveness and the operator experience, even in, say, low Wi-Fi or sort of patchy Wi-Fi environments. So we think that's going to be a really big change for the user experience of machinists. The next thing is that we're building this, I guess, new tablet experience around a sort of an activity log or an activity feed. And this is going to be a time-ordered, almost timeline or audit of what's gone on in production. So at 8 o'clock, I jobbed onto this job, then there was a downtime. Because of that, I sent a message at 10, at 8:11, that message was acknowledged, and then I went back into uptime at 8:15. We've got that real, simple log, but really powerful, so that everyone's on one page, everyone can see what's happening, and you've got that, I guess, traceability from all sides of what's happening on the shop floor. The other thing is top-down communication. So the tablets will be able to send messages out, but it's actually really important for, I guess, maybe production planners or shop floor managers to be able to send messages back to the tablets. And the key thing here is you should be able to do that from any device, anywhere. I've heard many stories that say a production manager getting a call from a customer late at night, changing the priorities of their production and not being able to communicate that to the team who were running the night shift. And because of that, they've actually done the wrong thing on the night, or they've lost some productivity. What we want is to give the ability where no matter where you are, you can get a message onto the shop floor to the right people, so that you can make sure that your machines are doing productive work to the best extent they can. And the final thing in 2.1 we're going to bring out is these new OEE capabilities. OEE is it's overall equipment effectiveness. It's a metric for benchmarking factories, and it is the number which tells you how good your factory is. It is difficult to calculate, particularly in a small batch environment, but we're really going for it because this is a key number for you to understand the availability of your machining equipment, the performance of it when it's running, and the quality as well, all in one combined metric. And I know that's something which has been quite heavily requested, so we're excited to bring that into FourJaw 2.1. Now, what about beyond 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 10.0, whatever it might be? We think this is going to, well, the plan is to focus this on 4 key areas of our roadmap. So the first is scheduling. So this is going into the future and helping you make predictions, plans, and forecasts so that your production is, baked in as nice and productive in the future. And we've actually got a load of grant funding to work on things like a shop floor scheduler, which integrates with our work booking, for example. We've talked about the real-time communication. That is the focus of FourJaw 2.1, but we're not just stopping with there. We really want to double down on this sort of real-time communication and facilitating productivity as it arises. We mentioned a little bit earlier about the ERP and MRP integrations. I think one of the biggest challenges of Industry 4.0 is the fact that data is siloed in all these different places, and to be productive, to be efficient, you need to join that up into one big view, and people don't have the ability to do that without integrations. And the final thing is understanding in even greater depth and with greater power what is happening in our production and what can we do about it. So that is going to be more about the sort of historic reporting and benchmarking so that you can continuously improve. So yeah, exciting, a lot to come, a lot of work on our behalf, but all things which I hope you guys are really looking forward to. So that's me pretty much finished with the I guess the formal presentation part of this. What I just want to direct you to is a couple of actions. So if as a result of this you feel actually FourJaw might be right for you and you've not currently got it, please feel free to reach out to Oliver, who's the smiley person you can see on the left there. As I mentioned, we'll circulate this slide deck so that all the contact details, you'll have them. But if you want to know about what FourJaw would mean for you, Oliver's the person to speak to. I would encourage it because, like I said, we've got that subscription model where if you don't like it, basically you don't keep subscribing. So it does keep us honest and it makes it low risk for you. So even if you think it might be, something which is right for you, please give it a consideration. For our existing customers, I just want to, reassure that we're always here to support you. And you've seen how much, hopefully throughout this presentation, we like to draw on the experiences and learnings from our existing customers. Now, Fadzai, our customer success manager, is always there to help with that process. So if there's anything that you feel that we should be doing, knowing, or learning about, then please do get in touch with Fadzai. And I guess as the lead of the product team and the technical team, if there's anything specific in this presentation or about the more technical side of things and the development roadmap you want to know about, then I'm your man. Please get in touch. We've got our links there for sort of socials, LinkedIn and stuff. And we've also got Capterra, which is our review website. So we love to get reviews from customers. As you saw earlier, they are used to actually steer how we develop the product, and we do care about them. So if you're an existing customer and you want to leave us a review, then please go for it. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, so that's me finished there. What I'm going to do is stop sharing my screen, and we're going to come back so we can go into the Q&A. So,
got some very good questions come through.
Some good questions come through. Okay.
I guess start at the bottom and work your way up, because that's the order in which they came in.
Yeah, absolutely. So from the bottom, working our way up. Yeah. I'll just scroll down to see them. How often does the timeline refresh, and is it live? That's a really great question. So the timeline doesn't sort of refresh automatically as it goes. To be fair, if you wanted to stick it on a screen and have that, update through time, it wouldn't be a particularly difficult thing for us to do. So, if that's something which is widely requested in the room, then do let us know, and that's something we could build in. What you could also do is quite a few of our customers have a big dashboard or a big screen up in their factory, and actually they've got like a Google Chrome plugin where it just refreshes, say, every minute or something, which would be perfectly achievable as well. So depending on how far you want to take it, hopefully that will give you an option to see that on a screen, keeping up. The other thing is, like, I'm not sure with that question whether you mean, is the timeline up to date with real time? Which the answer is yes, it should be very, very close to real time. It's not like it takes, 2 hours for the data to get to FourJaw. It should be only, a couple of seconds behind what's actually happening on your shop floor. Thanks for, so Chris, Sarah, thank you, Sarah, for that message. Well, Chris Muscroft, appreciate your comment on the good presentation. That's a nice little confidence boost. Which ERP systems are you looking at to integrate with, and which API protocols? Really good question, and actually they're slightly different things. So the main thing is we are working with key customers at the minute to explore customers who are in a good position to do ERP integrations, and we're working with them on whichever ERPs in particular they have. We do want to get to a point where all of your your standard ERPs, your SAP, so SAP Business One, a lot of people use. I know NetSuite's Oracle NetSuite's a really big one. We do want to get to the point where with sort of integrating with them. It is early days, I'm going to be honest, so we're almost doing it on a customer by customer basis. But if that's something where you want to speak to us about it, particularly about your ERP, just have a chat with us, because I think we can talk more in detail. In terms of the integration, API is a term you've used here, and what sort of APIs are we integrating with? That's, I guess, for anyone who's not familiar with that term, it's when you have a system and it allows other pieces of software to talk to it. The API is kind of like the exchange or language you use to do that. We have come across mostly on-premises ERP systems which don't have an API, and which are sort of a database, for example. So what we've had to do there is come up with almost like a Swiss Army knife, which allows us to integrate in different ways, sometimes directly into a database, sometimes into a sort of a pre-existing API. We've basically built a configurable piece of software, which is like a bit of a Swiss Army knife, which we can use to integrate with the ERP systems. So your REST API would be a really simple example of that, like you said there, Chris. But I don't want to go too into techie details. So if you want to talk more about that offline, then hit me up, because that's definitely one for me. Thank you for that question. I appreciate that. So from Sunny, we've got, does the work to list require a FourJaw template, since our current list is custom made? Great question. So hopefully, as you took from the demo, what we can do is configure FourJaw to interpret your custom made list, so that you should be able to, send that up and import it into FourJaw without having to do any changes. I'm going to be totally honest in saying, when we first started the CSV import, we had one strict format we accepted things in, and we took that out to our customers, and they had sometimes a difficult time translating from what they had available to the format FourJaw was able to accept. And because of that, we made it so we realized we had to be able to be flexible to format. So actually we can configure FourJaw to take pretty much whatever format you've got in terms of column names, date formats, things like that, as long as it's a CSV, if, within reason. But yeah, again, hit me up if there's any details about that, because we can talk offline about that. Okay, no problem. So Sarah, when do you expect scheduling will be included? Great question. So we're contracted into this by the government because we've got a Innovate UK grant that has to be delivered by April, coming April. So we're actually actively developing the scheduling capability now. The way we tend to do this is we come up with a basic implementation of it. We get it in front of customers as quickly as possible so we can get their feedback, and then we beta trial it until the point where it's ready to be part of the wider FourJaw platform, and then we roll it out. So I expect, to be honest, we're probably going to be in that beta phase until the end of the year, and then the start of next year, it will depend on how things are going, but we'll want to look to start rolling it out to customers. Sarah, if you wanted to be part of the beta program and your company did, then we're always looking for people to do that who are willing to work with us. So if that's exciting to you, that excites me as well. So let's have a chat. So thank you for that. So from Andy, we've got a message. So which machines outside of the CNC world can you monitor? That's a really good question. When we first started, we were actually quite CNC focused, I think, but we broadened out and out to the point where we can monitor pretty much anything that draws power. So we've got injection molding machines, we've had welders, we've had grinding machines, we've had manual machines, CNC machines, laser cutters, presses, all sorts of stuff. We love a challenge. If you've got something which draws power, where we can, clip a non-invasive plug and play sensor on it, let's just give it a go, and we'll see if you can monitor your kit. And if we can't, then we'll part as friends, and maybe we'll learn a lesson. But we're pretty confident that if it draws power, we can do it. We even monitor our kettle upstairs, so we can see how many cups of tea we've made. So anything from £1 million CNC machine to a kettle, we think is fair game. So we've got some other ones here. So follow-up question from Chris Musgrave. Thank you. Where's the FourJaw data sit? Is it cloud-based? Yeah, it's all in the cloud. You get your own, basically, website. So if you would say, I don't know, precision engineering, let's say, or precision manufacturing, or whatever the name might be, your FourJaw dashboard would be like precisionmanufacturing.fourjaw.app. You could access it on a tablet, you could access it on your computer or on your phone. So yeah, it's all cloud hosted. The reason we do that is we want to make sure that we are providing, we don't just provide data to you, we want to provide a full service of giving you the information you need end to end, from taking the information, from your machines, processing it, presenting it, making sure it's up to date and making it available for you. The nice thing with cloud as well is we can really rapidly roll out updates, which is one of the facilitators of, FourJaw 2.0, as you've seen. I think competitors where they've got something really bespoke and it's living on your premises, sometimes you might have to, pay quite a lot for them to come on site and upgrade it. We really don't want to do that to our customers. That's the cloud. So there we go. So Tim, are you doing anything with the data / AI to generate advanced predictive maintenance alerts? Good question, Tim. So currently the answer is actually no. And the reason is we don't like technology for technology's sake. What we're trying to do here is help manufacturers with their productivity. Now, what we've actually found is there's quite a lot of low-hanging fruit with just real-time communication, historic reporting, live alerts. All of them are really, really valuable and much simpler to do than, say, big data and AI projects. We have a really powerful team in FourJaw. We've got PhDs in data science and things like that. So we've got the brain power and we've got the skills to do it, and I'm sure we will get there. But what we don't want, we're more about sort of saving you 2 hours of looking, walking around trying to find someone who you aren't able to find and losing productivity of that, rather than trying to do stuff which is maybe a bit cleverer, but also maybe slightly less immediate value. So short answer is in the minute, no. But as and when we can provide value, and that's the best thing to do, we're ready and raring to do that. That sort of more clever data science, AI kind of stuff. Absolutely.
I have a question from Sonny, and then time's up.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got one more from Sunny. So would you be able to add or remove certain features that aren't standard that a customer might or might not want, or does it come as a plug and play package right out of the box? Good question. So we've got basically 3 different packages. Please go have a look on our website. They're basically with different levels of features. So we've got our essential package, which is like really for getting started. Your standard package, which is sort of understanding you know, what's going on the shop floor, getting capacity benchmarks, getting alerts and things like that. The Pro package, which is like our main, I guess, top level package, which to be honest, most people go for. That's where you get a tablet, and that brings in the downtime reasons, it brings in the work booking, and seems to be the most popular one. So what I encourage you to do is have a look on the website, and if you do want to understand more about what that means for you, then Oliver, whose contact details I shared, is the man for you there. Okay, I think okay, I think that's pretty much us for the questions and the answers. So that's probably a natural point to bring it to a close. Just to finish off, I really appreciate everyone coming along today. We're obviously excited and we're on a mission here at FourJaw, and I'm really pleased to share a little bit of that with you. We'll send the slide deck around so that you've got those contact details if there is any follow-up information that you want. And apart from that, I'd like to thank you all once again, and hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much. See you later, everyone. Bye.